don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and a very, very, very special happy birthday to my mother today. My mother is 635 years old, and she is looking good for somebody that's 635 years old. So a very special happy birthday to my mother. That's out of the way. And also a happy late St. Patty's Day. I decided to go a little green tint again in here so we could do that because we weren't here last night. I feel like all of this moving, I've been burning the candle at both ends and in the middle and throwing it in the fire and dividing atoms with it. So it's been a little crazy, and I think I got a little bit of like the droopy, drippy like I get, you know, it's just, I experience it 12 months out of the year. It's a birth defect, I guess you could say. And then I got hit with, at the same time, like that's never good. I got hit with a little bit of like a stomach gurglies, and that wasn't good. So we were out of commission yesterday. I'm very upset that we were out of commission because that means I was not able to attend the Muncie Parks Board meeting. I did watch the Parks Board meeting, and I actually have watched it 3 times now. So we have a lot to talk about that tonight. We have a very, very big Muncie-oriented show for everyone this evening. We're going to be talking just briefly right here at the very front about an update with Prairie Creek Reservoir. I received an email that I had requested back a couple weeks ago. I received that, and I have that now, and so we will talk about that here in a moment. We will also talk about a couple of the other things going on at Prairie Creek, and then we will give a quick rundown on the park board meeting last night. And then from there, from that point, we will kick into the main event of tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen. The main event of tonight's show is going to be talking, of course, about the Muncie City Fire Department. The Muncie City Fire Department has some news, and I'm not 100% sure. As of 7 p.m., I believe this was still exclusive news. So if there's anybody out there that can tell me, number one, I had a couple people calling me, but I couldn't answer it. Jackie Fisher, you're one of those people. So I apologize that I didn't get back to you. I will, if you're awake after the show, sometimes you know, like that happens, you can try calling me. Or if I don't talk to you after the show, I will get a hold of you tomorrow. I apologize that, again, I missed your call. So if anybody out there has heard this information about the Muncie Fire Department, if it's been on any of the news stations, let me know, so I'm not calling it exclusive, because if they've ran with it, they ran with it, whatever. But we've got some news. But you know how we do here. We're not a political journalism show. We're not bringing you just the facts, ma'am. It's more about the commentary. So I don't care if we're breaking the news. Moreover, I care about the opinion. And it's not just myself. Here in just a second, we're going to be bringing on Rachel Clark. And some of you may or may not know her. Rachel Clark is in a long ago world, in a far distant place. I completely butchered that. Whatever that crap is. I'm not in a nerd mood for the evening. A far galaxy, long, far away, whatever that nonsense is, whatever that crap is. We used to have a podcast, and then Rachel got busy and life started happening, and she forgot. And she said, "Hey, I don't want to do a podcast with you anymore." No, she didn't say that. We are going to start recording at some point again for the Bilbrey and Clark show. So just hang on to your butts. That's going to be happening. However, this is not a Bilbrey and Clark show. She's coming on here as a contributing correspondent this evening because more than anybody, she has an insight into what's happening because for a couple of years, she was the third highest ranking Muncie Fire Department member of the Muncie Fire Department. She was the EMS chief, the first EMS chief for the city of Muncie. Being the first EMS chief, it's not just like, well, okay, I just do a job. She got the program up and running, her along with Eddie Bell, and that was a very controversial deal, and people were mad and the people were glad, and it was insane for several years. It was insane. And so she no longer works for the Muncie Fire Department, but she has some insight, and we've got some big news pertaining to the cheating scandal. So we're going to be talking about that. So if you know anybody that is in the mood for some Muncie talk, it's been a minute since we've done just purely Muncie all night long. This is going to be their show. If you're interested in this, you know anybody that's interested in this, this is the show to watch. Before we get into it, so we don't have to spend any time on this important or non-important information, we can talk about the important stuff. Please smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. It does not cost you anything. Click the bell, comment. If you want to communicate with us, do so over there. And if you're watching this in the future, comment down below. We will get back to you. I am definitely interested in your thoughts about what we talk about tonight, because there's going to be people that like what we talk about. There's going to be people that don't like what we talk about. There's going to be people that have mixed emotions. I'm one of the mixed emotions guys. So we'll get in talking about that, and we'll let you know. Before we do any of that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and bring up the former EMS chief. I think I'll just start. Do I call you chief always? Is it like the president? You just get that title? Or
No.
Wait a minute. You weren't a chief. You were a director of EMS.
You're funny. No, I'm not that person. There are some people who are all about titles, and I'm not that person. No. People call
You don't
me
have a bunch of initials after your name?
No. So
Okay.
I actually was taking Kindle to 4-H, something with 4-H, and I got out of my car, and somebody was like, "Hey, chief." And I had to do a double take, and I'm like, "It's Rachel. You can call me Rachel." And they're like, "Nope,
Yeah.
I'll always call you chief." And I'm like,
Yeah. Well, so we're going to get to the fire stuff, but before we get there, I thought I would bring you on just for the whole show because this really it's really interesting. So I started, I woke up early this morning, like 4 o'clock this morning, and started working on things because I had slept basically all day yesterday. And so I started working on the show and I just had a loose idea of what I was going to talk about. I knew that the park board situation and the Prairie Creek thing wouldn't last for an hour and a half long show, but based off of what I was going to talk about, I titled the show Public Perception. And so we're that's what the focus was going to be. And then I started getting phone calls at about 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock, and saying, hey, you need to look into a couple of things. I started looking into a couple of things. I immediately sent a text to Rachel, and I was like, look, have you heard this? Did you know this? And so I did some tweaking. The show is now called Public Perception, PCR, and MFD. So we're going to start first. Have you followed anything, Rachel, going on? I mean, I know you've watched periodically on here, but have you followed anything with the Prairie Creek crap?
Just from your show, like listening to you.
That's where everybody gets all of their information, their important information. So I can definitely understand that. But and I am called Chief here, by the way. No, so okay.
I won't.
Yeah, by myself.
Okay.
I also refer to myself in the third person. Bilbrey says this. Okay, no. Okay, so here's the deal. Prairie Creek the city of Muncie has been tempting fate with Prairie Creek. There's been an old adage. There's been an old adage in the city of Muncie, Delaware County politics for a very long time that says, do not screw with Prairie Creek. If you do, it will be a career killer. And people have known for years and years and years and years that you do not mess with Prairie Creek, because if someone would start to screw with Prairie Creek, it would inevitably be the end of their career. And then we started hearing this weirdness back some time ago between the mayor and the park board and American Water Company. There was some back and forth, and the mayor ignorantly got Dustin Clark involved, which was a horrible idea. And I went to a couple of those meetings with the city park, and the American Water Company was there, and it just was a disaster. So as we know, back in November, the mayor announced that there would be no camping at the North Shore of Prairie Creek this year, 2026. We are now in it. It seems like back when he said that 4.5, 5 months ago, it seemed like forever before it would actually get here. But now we're here. Everybody there has to have their RV out by March 30th, or they have to apply for an extension, which still then only gives them until, I think, March 3rd or March 13th, something like that. I don't know 100% what the deadline is there, but they get a couple days after March 30th. And I will tell you, I was out by there the other day with my grandparents, and I was actually shocked at how many of those RVs are still there. I had been told that many, many, many RVs was out, and there were only a few, and that is not true. I'm going to be shocked to see what happens, because the city's talking crazy talk. Like, if they're not out by the end of the extension, they are filing and they're going to say, hey, this is our stuff. And it's just really crazy. So after that, I quickly made my prediction that this was going to be a forever long Danzaster, and that he would do this like he's done everything else. He would not come up with a plan. They would not re-envision Prairie Creek. It would not be built back better. It would be a disaster. And that basically the citizens that have enjoyed Prairie Creek for so long would be screwed. And so now here we are. There is no plan. No one's heard any plan. I think people are getting frustrated in and around the big wigs in and around the city are getting frustrated with Dan because he's not coming to the table with a plan. Now we've heard, and this is an interesting point because we're going to talk about this with the park board. The rates for literally everything else at Prairie Creek has skyrocketed. They've all doubled. Some of the things have doubled. Some of them have went up by just astronomical numbers. And people are like saying, why? You're literally killing all of the fun at Prairie Creek. We're going to stop going there. Is that the plan? Is that what Dan's trying to do? So there was a big park board meeting that was coming last night. And what happened was a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, Prairie Creek Reservoir had actually put out a price list. This was back on March 6th, where they had put out a price list. And when they put this price list out, everybody lost their mind. People started commenting and saying, why are you raising the prices? What's going on here? And everybody was, it currently has 443 comments. And, that page just rarely gets more than a couple comments. So people were pissed off about this. And pretty early on, there was a comment from Prairie Creek. So whoever's in charge of the Facebook out there that said basically, hey, don't shoot the messenger. We're just the messengers. This price rate came from City Hall. And I heard a little birdie told me that whoever was in charge of putting that on the Facebook page got their pee-pee smacked, and they got in trouble because they said, while that is technically correct, we don't do that here. You don't blame the mayor for anything. We don't want to put that perception out there in the public. You have to eat the shit, basically. And so I heard this from several people in the community, some sources from around City Hall and Prairie Creek, and I thought, I got to look into this. So I had issued a record request to the city of Muncie. I wasn't really sure who had sent this out. And it was taking a long time. I've been talking about this. And so finally I fired off an email to the communications director, Amber Green, 2 days ago. And I said, hey, what is the deal with these emails? I'm not asking you to go down in the basement. And I got an email sent to me on March 16th. So this was 2 days ago, actually. I got this. And her email says, I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to show you this so you guys can see this. Her email says, this is the only email regarding PCR price list. Okay, so that's what she says. And then I want to get your take on this here. Oh, no. Oh, wait a minute. Kate didn't see. Oh, no. Hold on a second. You didn't see the message. Never mind. I'll just put it up here this way. Okay, give me 1 second here. We'll do it this way. Share this tab instead. And we'll put this up. Okay, so 137, 237. Okay, so the original email went out at 1:37 p.m. and all right, thank you. That was quick. She got it up there quickly. We'll see if we can see it. Okay, so here's the first email. I'll read this to you, everybody, because I know this is hard to see. So this is from Amber Green, the communications director, sent on Friday, March 6th at 1:37 p.m. to Taylor Beard, who is the new superintendent of Prairie Creek. Don't really have too good of an understanding on who that is. I think I know who it is, but I was shocked to see it, honestly. Grace Taylor, I don't know who that is. Bradley Marshall, who's the president of the park board. And Amber says, hello all. I wanted to reach out regarding recent social media interactions involving Prairie Creek Reservoir and comments from concerned citizens about rate increases. I've noticed that in several responses, it has been stated that the rates are set by the city of Muncie. That is a true statement. They are set by the city of Muncie. And just so no one is confused, the city of Muncie means Dan Ridenour, the Muncie mayor, because in politics is the only place in the world that this happens. Shit runs uphill. Okay. So it all lands at his feet. The buck stops. It's supposed to stop there. So Dan is the city of Muncie and the park board. But I want to be very clear. The park board doesn't do anything that Dan has not approved, that Dan has not said, hey, this is what we're doing. So when they say that in several responses, it's been stated that rates are set by the city of Muncie, that's a correct statement. But she goes on, while that and this is amazing, while that statement is technically correct, I think it's important to be mindful of how that message may be perceived by the public. What do you mean? It may be perceived by the public like as saying it's Dan's fault. Because Prairie Creek Reservoir is a city of Muncie Park governed by the Muncie Park Boards. Responses that frame the decision as something set by the city can unintentionally create the impression that Prairie Creek Reservoir is separate from that process or responsibility. I understand that PCR staff are not the ones setting the rates, but as an entity operating under the Parks Board, which ultimately approves those rates, it would be helpful if our messaging reflected that relationship more clearly. Would it be possible for us to work together to develop a cohesive and consistent response that staff can use when these questions arise online? A unified reply that briefly explains why the rates increase have occurred, clarifies the role of the Parks Board, and directs residents on how they can voice their concerns would help ensure we're providing clear and consistent information to the public. I appreciate the work your team does and your engagement with the community, and I believe a coordinated approach will help strengthen public understanding and trust. What say you about that response?
Sounds like she's trying to push it back on them.
Them and or the park board.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean, like them, the board. That how dare you accuse the mayor of this? This all is the board.
Yeah.
And nicely telling them that that's how they need to respond moving forward is it doesn't come to the mayor's office, that the park board needs to be on board.
Yeah. While at the same time telling them that what they've been telling people is technically correct. What you're saying is technically correct. The mayor is in charge and the mayor does it. And it's, the mayor is in charge of everything. But at the end of the day, we don't want anybody to know that. It's kind of like, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Somebody asked me what was behind the curtain. Well, maybe one day you'll see. I don't know. Maybe you won't see. It's Kate. Kate's back there pulling the strings. She's the puppet master, the brains of the operation, as they say. So, yeah, that's interesting to me that's what's said. And so something else that's happened to me, and I want to be very clear about this. I have had a couple communications with Bradley Marshall. And I get along with Bradley Marshall. Brad and I talk, and I get along with him as a person. There are some decisions on the park board that, as the park board as a whole, I don't like. But Brad said something to me. Brad talked to me a couple of times and said, I don't understand why people are getting so upset about this right now, because we voted on this back in September. Well, my answer to that, and I haven't said this to Brad since he told me that, but I'm saying it now, and I'll say it to him again or in private text. My issue is, first of all, when this was voted on back in September, yes, anyone could have watched the park board meetings and been aware of that. But if people had lives to lead, I mean, I watched this stuff religiously, and I didn't know that it was passed back in September. I didn't know that. So I wouldn't expect hardly anybody else in Muncie to do that. To me, that seems like a communication issue. If they were passing this back in September, they should have been posting that information back in September. You know, they not holding it back until March 6th when they finally released it to like the people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they do what a lot of places do. They put it on the counter for the people coming in and out.
Yes.
You know, they're not like sending it out. It's right here, and it's all of your responsibilities to come find this.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
Typical Newcastle or
Yes.
Muncie.
Both of them, in Madison County, Winchester, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne. Yeah. That's absolutely correct. And so to that, I want to say, first of all, I think that's very disingenuous, and I hate that. And I noticed that the messaging from Prairie Creek at some point after that, everything started saying, if you want to express your concerns, go to the park board meeting. The park board says this by, Listen, everybody out there, everybody that's heard from Prairie Creek, who's now just doing their job, I get it. I don't blame Prairie Creek. Listen, the park board does not do a thing that the mayor doesn't want. Remember, the one time...
Or what Dustin Clark wants.
Or Dustin Clark, yeah. And well, and in that thing, it's Dustin Clark and the mayor's like one and the same. It's like a hive mind situation. And the scary thing is I don't really know who's in control sometimes. That's very strange.
Well, it depends on personal life or professional life. Yeah,
right. Depends on what exactly it is they're in control of. Yeah, absolutely. So the issue here is that I want everyone to be aware of. If you look at the one time that the park board did something outside of what Dan wanted, he wrote a termination letter to the park board member that brought that issue up and provided it the next day and provided it to him 2 days later, and he's no longer on the park board. Now, granted, the park board is an at-will volunteer appointment by the mayor. They are assigned by the mayor. The mayor can say, okay, you're no longer serving at any time. But the point of the matter is it's got to be a Democrat position because it's a weighted board. So he has to put some Republicans and some Democrats. And so James Lutton made a motion to extend this date to let people get their RVs out, and Carl Malone went crazy, and I know that Dan was pissed off, and they got rid of James Lutton and they put Ashley Wright in. Ashley Wright is a long forever ride an hour fanatic. She works for Indiana American Water Company, and I saw GW or somebody said, when should American Water get some blame for this? Hey, listen, you get to do what you want with your land. It's their land. We're leasing it. The blame to me falls directly on all of the mayors of Muncie that have done this up to this point. It's not just Dan's fault. It's everybody else's. But Dan gets the blame for not taking care of this the appropriate way, for not fighting for the citizens of Muncie, for doing something to stop this from happening. I think he used this issue to do something that he's been wanting to do, which was get rid of all of this. And I honestly think they're just attempting to kill Prairie Creek right now. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Well, I mean, probably because it's a hassle. And look at the monies having to be spent to, there was the issue with the handicap boat. Do you remember that? The ramps, all of that.
Yes.
For those that are not familiar with Muncie, people don't realize, if they're not from here, what a big deal it is to have boat. Like, there's a lottery. It's talked about for a month before they actually do the drawing. It's a who's who of, I know that sounds so insane, but it is a who's who of who has places and who has camping spots.
Yeah.
And it's a little community. It's like the clique of, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, it is.
And I apologize now for all of the coughing. I've got a horrible sinus infection. I keep muting.
It's going around.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
You're fine. It's going around. I get it. No, and you know, and here's the deal. I'll be honest. I'll be honest with this, that you know, I guess I'm just going to say it like it is. Muncie is not the same as the Muncie in the 70s and the 80s. We don't have all the factories here. It's not all, there was a time when a good chunk of Muncie was, could leave off and go to Kentucky or Tennessee for their trips in the, in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, or Florida, for a summer vacation or spring break. There's a lot of people that don't do that, and their enjoyment is Prairie Creek, is Toohey Pool, and here's the thing: both of those are actually being killed right now. Like they're struggling to figure out what's going to happen with Toohey, and Dan's been against Toohey from the time he first came on. He wanted to get rid of it and put the Y there, just crazy stuff. And now we're like doing away with everything that we can do at the park. And so we're getting ready to go into the fire department thing. But before we do that, I want to just pull this up for 1 second. I highly recommend everybody watch this. If you're very interested in what's going on specifically with the other parks in Muncie. This is the Parks Board meeting from last night. The meeting is an hour and 43 minutes long, and for the first hour and 10 minutes they are interviewing companies. There are 5 companies that are going before the Parks Board to basically say that they want to help Muncie with their next 5-year parks plan. And this is a big deal. This is a really big deal.
Before you air that, I want to say one thing about the whole Prairie Creek. If Dan's going to take away all of that, and the camping, all because of the roll-off and the damage being done, then tell me how he can continue to have the Ironman out there every summer that brings in tens of thousands of people who camp, who bring trash. Yes, they clean a lot up, but think about the pollutants that go on. How can you take away camping for a small amount, but still hold that triathlon, the Ironman there?
Yeah,
I not to have it, but he will, because look how much money it brings in.
Yeah, he's obsessed with that thing. For the longest time, the city's put in a team. He's been a part of it. Dustin's been a part of it.
When we used to have our weekly meetings, he would give an update every single week or every time you talk to him of, I rode my bike, or I swam. It was, okay, we get it. Nobody cares. Yeah,
nobody cares, Dan.
That's all he talked about.
Oh, you're a runner. That's the problem. I knew something was wrong with you. You're a runner. There's 2 types of people in the world. There's runners, and there's people that smash the runners with their doors. And
there's people who claim to run for an hour. Don't forget about those people.
Yeah. Well, that happens too. I get it. That's hilarious. So yeah, really, 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 really crazy. Now, I'm not going to play any of this first part because there's 5 companies. Flatland Resources is in there. I forget all the companies. I'm going to go back and find out what they're doing because this is a really big deal. I've got to say, so when I woke up yesterday and realized that I had this like hellacious headache and I was feeling like crap, one of the very first things that I did is I went up to get some headache medicine. and I was looking for we've got some, chaos going on. So I was looking for like the Excedrin, looking for the Tylenol, and I noticed how cold it appeared to be outside. And I thought, man, that's nuts. And so I thought, man, I wonder if they're still going to do Prairie Creek, excuse me, the St. Patrick's Day Parade. And so I went to the City of Muncie Facebook page. I'm not going to pull this up right now. I'll just read it to you. This was posted on the City of Muncie's Facebook page by the communications director at 10:19 a.m. yesterday. So the 17th, it says the St. Patrick's Day Parade is still on for today. We are excited to see everyone downtown to celebrate one of our favorite traditions. Please note that road closures in the downtown area will begin at approximately 5:45 p.m. and remain in place until the conclusion of the parade. Just prior to the 6 p.m. start, the following closures will be in effect. Walnut Street will be closed from Weiser just south, east to west traffic will be restricted from Jefferson to High Street. These closures are in place as the parade travels down Walnut and returns up Mulberry to ensure traffic does not cut through the route. Plan ahead, allow extra time for travel, and use caution when navigating the area. After the parade, we encourage you to stick around downtown and enjoy everything downtown has to offer. Take advantage of the Dora district and support our local small businesses, restaurants, and bars as they celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Bundle up and wear your green, and we'll see you downtown. Well, one of the things that I was interested in was I got to thinking, well, wait a minute. If they're doing this thing downtown and the park board meeting is supposed to be going on at 6 o'clock, how are those two things going to happen at the same time? Are they going to allow people in to the meetings? Because like it's got to be an open door meeting. Like what is going on here? And so one of the things that I found interesting was that I'm trying to find it. There was a post somewhere on the city's communications page, and I cannot seem to find it currently, that talks about the fact that the parade would not be rescheduled, and for those people that were willing or that were going to be attending the park board meeting, you would need to park elsewhere in the surrounding area around the streets because you couldn't get into City Hall. And so if you wanted to attend last night's Muncie Parks Board meeting, you needed to park like 4 or 5 blocks away and walk in that cold. So I thought, aha, that's why we're having this St. Patrick's Day parade on today rather than on Saturday, so they can stop many people going to the Parks Board meeting, because I'm telling you, there are a lot of people that's been pissed off about this. And so, the thing that really got me was there were a good number of people that appeared to be in the area. Okay. And so, it's right here. It's on the Muncie Parks and Recreation Plan. It says the St. Patrick's Day Parade is still on tonight. If you plan on attending the Parks Board meeting tonight at City Hall, please park on the surrounding streets, as no parking will be allowed at City Hall parking after 4 p.m. To which I immediately went into the comments and said, this is piss poor planning, because to me, this is pert near an open door violation. I mean, it's not, because it was still open and you could have still made the struggle. But if you've got older people, elderly people, they're not going to want to do that, get out in the cold. So I was very disappointed, because what happened here was we get through all of this all of this rigmarole for the hearings, and at the end of the day,
Wait, look out
yep.
right now. Look how miserable every person in that audience
Every
looks.
single person. Yeah, right. It's
I
nobody's
mean, there's
having
not
fun.
one person who is even looks to be interested in what's being said.
No, and listen, and there wasn't. Nobody was. The whole meeting looked like that. The whole I've watched this 3 times, and I literally the third time I thought I can't watch it again. I might find a prayer closet because it was getting bad. So I just want to watch this quick little clip, and then we're going to jump over to Muncie Fire. But I want everybody to hear what this guy has to say because this is really sad.
Have public input or public comment.
Yeah, we have 2 people. First one is Roger. What's your last name?
I'm Roger Demeyer with, I run the Catfish Pirates. I'm also with AMVETS Post 12. I run the veterans event that we've been doing at Bear Creek for numerous years now. Been a great event for us. I've got some concerns when I applied for my application for the tournament, which we were approved. Thank you. At that point in time, you guys were going through some administration changes, but they had mentioned to me several different times speaking to them that they were possibly looking into ways for events to decrease these boat ramp fees. This potentially could have a negative impact on my event because I don't keep any of the money. All this money goes to veterans.
Sure.
So I'm getting a lot of negative feedback because the boat fees ramp fees went up the way they did. A lot of people are not going to travel to Prairie Creek. You can go get state park access ramp for $25.
You can go get a one-time fee, an access fee for the ramps for the state of Indiana, one-time fee for $25. And that lets you go to any state park, anywhere. Okay. For $25. Or you can go to Prairie Creek and you can do it for $30 a day. $30 a launch.
Every state park in the state.
When it was $15 last year.
This $30 ramp fee that you guys doubled. We're going to go ahead and have our tournament this year, but if it adversely affects the number of people coming to our event, I'll have no choice but to move this to a state lake.
Sure.
Because of the fee. Last year we had around 44 boats, and I think we had somewhere around 16 bank teams. So last year was our biggest year yet. We were able to raise $12,000, and that all went to the veterans, stayed right here in and around Delaware County. So veterans need help of any kind. All they have to do is reach out to the commander at Post 12. There's a little process to go through to verify your credentials, and we'll definitely help them. I mean, anything from transportation, food. We had one last year that was displaced by home fire and lost everything. We was able to get this individual back up on his feet in an apartment with some food.
A bass fishing, a boat thing. They were able to get somebody in a home and get their clothes after a fire.
And turn this individual's life around. That's how critical
here in the city, here in Delaware County.
So
and now we're not going to do that.
A boat launch fee last year? Were your boats charged a
Yes, it was $15 last year.
Yeah, but it was half of what it is. It was half of what it's going to be this year. Why I'm confused.
But then you guys decided to double it. So, and I'm already hearing from a lot of people that's coming to this event that were there last year that I'm not coming because I'm not giving them $30. And I give back my tournament fee off. I help offset that. But all that does, that takes dollars away from the veterans. So that's my concern is if you keep this like this, I think it's going to have more of a negative impact to your guys' Prairie Creek than a positive one. It's going to potentially bring less boaters there. And I don't think that's what you guys want.
One of that, you kind of referenced an alternate fee for tournaments. So that's something that somebody, you're not the first to bring that up. And I think something that as a board, we can probably discuss is if it's directly associated with an event or a tournament that we may be able to adjust the fees associated with that. The other thing I guess I would ask is
to start making up a bunch of tournaments.
Yeah, right. We're starting to start getting just, yeah, absolutely. I like that.
Today
like
is
that.
the kids tournament. Tomorrow's the teenager tournament. And then we're going
Yeah.
to have a baseball tournament on boats.
Instead of golf frisbee, you know, where you can do it boat to boat.
Yeah. Yeah, right. With fish.
Yep.
Want to present it before the board if you want to reach out to the office directly or
Now here
one of
goes.
us, what your turnout is this year to kind of, so we can get a gauge that how much that
They
did.
want to know what the turnout, how bad this affects. Is this really going to affect you? Yes, it is.
Affected if it was
Yeah.
negative. That would be good information for us to build on for next year to make
Yeah.
a determination on
I
how.
know,
For next year when we make it 90.
I know some of it's going to impact us because of the situation with the campers. A lot of them
Campers, he
had
brings
boats
up
with
the
pontoons. I
campers
know-
and all
I know
that.
a lot of them that did camp out there. They're full of pontoons.
Now listen to this.
So something now. I didn't have a lot of them that actually participated in our tournament. There was a few, but some of those that did, they're no longer out there. They're not coming back. They've already moved on to other park facilities. So
Now listen to what's said here.
I'm hoping that it's not going to affect us too bad. I have a feeling it's definitely going to hurt us.
Do we have your contact information?
Yeah, I'm sure it's on the
Bumper
Okay.
boats.
It's not all.
What date is your event again?
It's the 23rd of May.
Okay.
That's
Wait for May.
weekend, holiday weekend, but it's on that Saturday. So
To clarify.
Yeah.
The issue is the double of the payment, but not the original payment. Is
yeah,
okay.
that's
Yeah, dude. What did he just wake up?
They were fine with the original payment. It's
Yeah.
just
Yes.
okay.
yeah. And I'm seeing this not even just for the aspect of my tournament, across Facebook in general, just everyday
Oh.
fishermen,
That's where he messed up because they don't want to hear that.
or people that go out there and want to enjoy
Nope,
the day in the
Nope.
water.
Nope. He's gonna
They
get his.
say, well,
He's gonna
we're
get
close
smacked down.
enough for
Listen.
that kind of money. I'll go get a sticker to a state lake and I'll go to Brookville.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot on there. So it's what you guys be wary of that.
Be
You
cognizant.
potentially be driving people away from Delaware County.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roger.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Yep. Here it comes.
You got another name on there, Nikki?
Wayne Skate.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wayne Scaife gets up. Wayne's always good for some.
Whoops, sir.
That was my issue, what he was just talking about.
That was my
So
issue.
I fish out at Prairie Creek, and maybe I'm in. I
He
want to
fishes
question
out there.
why the raise on our fee?
Why the
Usually
raise?
When something like that happens, it's to offset something else,
Okay.
pay
Listen.
raises or other expenses. Can y'all just briefly tell me why the hike in all the fees? Drastic hikes.
Yeah, so I know these fees have been popular discussion recently, but I guess I want to remind everybody these were actually voted on back in September when we had established these. So kind of rewind a little bit at that.
Yeah, but what was the communication level? Did they talk to anybody? Did anybody know? Or did everybody just find out for the very first time when Prairie Creek posted it, when the city told them they could on Friday, March 6th? That's the issue. Ding, 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 ding. I mean, the 5 people that were in the audience, they might have known, but, did the city let anybody know?
We were still in the very early discussions with the American Water Company. At that point, we had made a decision to pause awarding any new docks and pause awarding any new campsites. Now, as everybody knows, since then, we've actually closed the North Shore campsite down. But at that point, we knew there was going to be a loss in revenue from the loss of docks and campsites. So we evaluated not only the launch fees, but all of the rates across the park, and all of them were adjusted upward. So it wasn't just the docks, it wasn't just at that time the campers or the piers. It
Crazy.
was essentially all
So
prices
he
across
admits
the site to
We've
Yeah.
match
reduced the
what we're seeing in
services
the
that
loss
we're going to
revenue.
provide you. So to
So
make up for the money, we're going to charge you
yes.
more on the few services
guys
we do
decide.
provide.
to do,
Yep.
made you lose money. So to make up the money that you guys decided to
Yep.
lose, you raise prices on other things.
At the time we did the rates, the campsites were not closed yet.
Stumblefoot.
Oh, I thought you just said it was to offset those.
So at that point, we were not going to award any sites that were lost through attrition. So if somebody did not renew a campsite or did not renew a dock, per the direction of the water company, we're not going to fill those spots.
Yeah, whatever.
So based on our historical averages, we lost between 12 and 15 sites, and we lost between 30 to 50
Whatever.
docks
So
annually.
that's it. That's it. He sits down. They in the meeting. If you're very interested in hearing the 5-year plan, it's worth. I listened to it. It's worth the listen. You should go listen to it, and we'll probably cover it at some point. But that's the bottom line. There was 2 people that spoke. That really broke my heart. I mean, I was sick. I guess everybody else could have been sick too, or everybody else didn't want to park 5 blocks away. It is just, it's very sad that this is what it is. There's no real recourse here, and they're just going to screw everybody out of the fun at Prairie Creek, and
So listen to
it'll
this.
be that.
Okay. What is known to be like the most bougie area on a waterway in Indiana? Geist
Geist.
Reservoir.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what it costs to launch a boat at Geist?
What?
$20 to $25. So apparently Dan thinks that Prairie Creek
Yeah.
is much more, because
Right,
and
yeah.
it says 35 to 40 on holidays and this is motorized boats.
Sure.
So I mean, that's sad that Geist is cheaper than Prairie Creek.
Geist is cheaper than Prairie Creek.
And
What
you
a
know,
laugh.
the multi-million-dollar homes, the scenery, you get to see the Andrettis out on the water. Every time I've been out on the water at Geist, you see the Andrettis, it's interesting. You get to see Dustin and Corey, what do you call him? Oil lamp. What do you call him?
Yeah. Many different things.
When they're all out doing their bourbon and cigars out on the Geist in their pontoon boat, that's what you see at Prairie Creek.
Yeah. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. As far as the Prairie Creek Park Board deal, public perception, the bottom line is Prairie Creek got slapped on the hand and got in trouble because they told the truth that your mayor, the mayor's administration, increased all this shit, and you aren't supposed to know it, and we're not supposed to say it, and if we do, well, the communications director is going to come down and give us a smack on the hand or a smack on the behind and say, hey, you
That's
can't
how
know
all
about it.
Administration is.
Mhm.
Every department head, they're supposed to handle things, but it's all
Yes,
Dan's
GW.
He runs
Yeah.
every department. He micromanages it. No one is truly, if people think that they run their own department, fully, that's not the case. I would say that the police department is probably the closest to running like themselves.
Yeah,
over any
no,
other
that's true. That's true. Yeah, yep. And I'll tell you what, there's actually some places there where I think the mayor should have a little bit more input in how things are done. Like, for example, he won't ever interview with the media, won't answer questions. Sloan won't, his chief deputies won't. And I think Dan should say, wait, yeah, right. Dan should say, hey, we're going to start doing that. And if you don't like it, there's the door. But Dan doesn't care either.
It's called transparency.
Yeah,
I know
right.
that's a hard word for Dan to know.
Right.
I know he can spell it and say it, but I don't think he knows what it truly means.
Right.
So I just wanted to point out that they're screwing Prairie Creek.
Yeah.
But today, the city of Muncie posted that in 4 months, only 4 months, to the next Ironman.
See,
Yeah.
they should not to do that.
Yeah. Yes. I saw that. It's crazy to me. I'm going to be sticking on it. We'll continue bringing you more information. We're fighting it and doing what we can. It is what it is. But all right, now we got a lot of people here that want to hear about this. And
Wait,
to
can
me,
we
this
do
all
an
goes together.
Ironman? Let's
What?
do a team Ironman, like the mayor
That would
does.
be
with Dustin.
hilarious.
And like each one of us will swim beside him and mess up their time.
Yeah,
Be like,
right.
hey, Dan, you're an idiot. Dan, you won't answer my email, so I'm going to catch you now while we're swimming. And then the next person get on the bike and be like, so Dustin. And everyone just tag team them the whole time. And
I thought you meant we could be like, we could do like the toilet bowl version where we're like not running but walk, like you're talking about swimming and catching up with it. Nobody's going to catch up with anybody. What the hell?
I could be an Olympic swimmer for all you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so the Muncie Fire Department, I think before we kick into this, probably the best thing to do would be to go back and show everybody this 3-minute clip of the last bit of news that we had. I think you'll have to set me straight on this. I think this is the last bit of news that we had about what's going on here. So to bring everybody up to speed, essentially what happened is a couple years ago now, it's been like 2 years, right?
3, maybe? I don't know.
2 or 3 years. It's
I think
it feels
3,
like 15 minutes with your head underwater.
Mhm.
But so a number of years ago,
Once upon a time.
yeah, right, in a galaxy far, far away. See, I got it right. A couple of really go-getter fire department personnel, firemen, EMTs, all these really good public servants thought it was their duty to report a fellow fireman and paramedic to the fire chief, to the mayor, to the media, and they started going on and doing interviews in very weird shaped outfits and hiding their voice. Yeah, that was so strange, dude. So I made that guy. It was so strange. And so they turned this guy in, and listen, I'm going to be clear. I don't really care a whole lot for Troy Delaney. I'm not a Troy Delaney fan. I did a thing where I was going out. I rode with a bunch of people in the fire department, and meeting Troy Delaney, I got along with him, and we got on well. And then when I started taking some shots at some of the bullshit that was happening on the fire department, Troy decided to take a stab at me, and didn't like what I was saying. And ironically, when I was posting good things about the fire department, he stood and took a picture with me, and was in a picture with me and him and a couple other firemen. And when I used that same picture, when I was talking negatively about the fire department, he contacts me and says, "You need to take that down. We can't have pictures in uniform." And I'm like, "Bullshit, Troy. Here's the picture. You just don't like it because I'm calling you guys out." And so we went back and forth, and I'll be really honest, I'm not a fan, and he's not a fan of mine. That being said, I have said from day one on this story that something was up here, that something didn't seem right, that what they were saying, what they were accusing him of just didn't make sense. It didn't fit in with my knowing him. Like, I don't really care for him, but I know who he is as a person. And that's part of the problem that I and a lot of other people, I mean, let's listen. I don't know if Troy's watching or Troy's family's watching. I mean, no disrespect, but if you know Troy, if anybody knows Troy, you know he's hard to get along with. Troy knows he's hard to get along with. Troy's his own worst enemy in a lot of ways, and does a lot of weirdness. And it's what makes him, in a way, a good fireman. Some of his peculiarities, and it's also what makes him hard to get along with. Okay. A lot of people don't like that he's a real strong go-getter. He's real adamant for the rules. That's why when I heard like, "Ooh, he's a big cheater. He's a big cheater. It just didn't make sense. And so from early on, even some of you guys, some of my very own favorite friends and fans and followers and listeners and cult members, whatever you're going to be called, nobodies, even some of you took shots at me because of the things that I was saying. I said, "Look, you don't have to like Troy. I don't like him per se, but you still have to look at things the right way." And I felt like this was a witch hunt. I felt like he was in line to get the battalion chief, the next highest spot up on. He was going to get a promotion. And the wheels in motion started turning, and another shift, another turn, decided they didn't want him to be the battalion chief. And so they needed to do whatever they could to stop that from happening. And so they cooked this thing up, and it went forward. And so now, with that in mind, he's been suspended. He was suspended with pay for a while. Then it went to suspended without pay. He is currently a Muncie firefighter, still just suspended off duty, racking up law fees, legal fees, and things like that. And I'll be honest, I've not talked to him. I don't know that I've ever talked to him during this situation. I don't think I have. I think I reached out to him one time, and he said that his attorney advised him not to speak at the time, and that he would speak only when this was totally finished. And I respect that. So I want to listen to this for a little bit, and then I want to get your input on this, Rachel. Here's
While you're listening, I'm going to go turn my heat up. I'm free.
Yeah, do your thing.
We begin tonight at 6 with the state of Indiana now taking away all the licenses of a longtime firefighter.
This decision comes following what state regulators are calling a cheating scheme inside the fire department in Muncie. Our investigative reporter Bob Siegel explains tonight that the decision is coming with controversy.
13 Investigates first broke news of the cheating scandal almost 2 years ago. Ever since then, Muncie Fire Captain Troy Delaney has been fighting to save his career. A few months ago, things were looking up for Delaney. Today, things took a major turn.
Next item on the agenda will be the Delaney non-final final order.
A state firefighting board voted this morning to revoke all 26 of Delaney's professional firefighting certifications.
And now I want to say here real quickly, prior to this board doing this, a administrative law judge had ruled, basically she had made a split decision, but the split decision was more or less in Delaney's favor. So she gave him a slap on the hand and said, like, no, but she basically ruled in his favor on a lot of things. So then this thing went forward, and these people said, nuh-uh, we're not okay with what she said. And so they are deciding at this point, when you're watching this, to basically strip him of everything. Let's continue on here.
Taking away his ability to be a firefighter in the state of Indiana. The move comes after a state investigation determined the longtime Muncie firefighter orchestrated a cheating scheme to collect questions and answers for certification exams, and then shared the information with other firefighters and EMTs before their tests. At his administrative law hearing, Delaney told a judge he did not help his coworkers cheat, and the judge ruled in his favor, finding the state failed to prove its allegations. The judge recommended not stripping Delaney's certifications. And at today's hearing, the firefighter's attorney asked the board to follow the judge's advice.
Your revocation order, it's not just, doesn't have the evidence to support it.
But today, the board rejected the judge's recommendation, revoking all of Delaney's certifications anyway. State attorneys asked the board for a lifetime revocation. Board members did vote to permanently revoke Delaney's instructor license.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. But the rest of his firefighter certifications, those will be revoked for only 3 years.
I feel that it's a reasonable compromise.
A compromise that's still meant to send a strong message.
I think the message is that if you are an instructor or if you're a participant in the fire service, you have to follow the rules. And if you're cheating your way on the test, it can't be tolerated.
And now the city of Muncie has filed formal misconduct charges against Delaney, who now faces a separate disciplinary hearing before the Muncie Fire Merit Commission to determine whether he'll be fired by the city. Delaney has been on administrative leave for nearly 2 years, collecting his full salary while his legal battles play out. Delaney has not responded to 13 Investigates' request for comment, but based on legal filings, it's expected he's going to fight back against today's final order. He can appeal the ruling in state court. Delaney will also have the chance to defend himself at his upcoming disciplinary hearing. And he's already filed a federal lawsuit alleging the Muncie Fire Department has violated his rights. We'll continue to follow these cases as they play out in court. I'm Bob Siegel, 13 Investigates.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that's where we basically left off.
Anything, but he did walk in the
back. Oh my God.
desk and grab these off the shelf.
In a Kentucky Walmart,
Okay,
an elderly
that's-
man with dementia was.
Let me get that out of my ear. That's basically where we left off. And you heard what Siegel said there. Basically, Delaney had filed a lawsuit, and he was basically going to fight all of these allegations. And I have been paying attention to what has been going on. I've been waiting for a decision to be made in this case, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'll be honest, with the move and everything that has happened, I got to kind of a point where I just stopped watching because nothing was happening. And I thought, well, somebody will let me know or something will happen. And so I just kind of forgot about him. I forgot that he existed, and, it was what it was. So basically what happened, that was sometime, I think the video that we just watched there, I think that was sometime in the end of 2024. If I'm
They said it had been 2 years at that point, right?
What?
And they said that had been 2 years at that point, right?
Yeah.
So we're over 3 years.
No, what we were just watching there, what we literally just watched there aired. This is odd. It aired on March 13th, 2025. So just about a year ago, a year and 5 days ago, that aired.
And they said, so it'd be working on 3 years now.
Yeah. So it's been going on 3 years. Well, in April of 2025, so just about a month after, exactly 29 days later, Troy Delaney and Troy's attorney. Now, for the people that are aware and politically are in touch, Troy's attorney is no slouch. He's not somebody that takes on cases that he thinks are turds. Like, if he's going to take on a case, he thinks it has some merit. His attorney is Chris Jeter, who is a Republican state representative in the Indiana State House. I think he's actually Brandon's state representative, if I'm correct. I wish Brandon was on here still. I think Jeter is Brandon's, but so I have some issues with him in the State House, but I do know that he is a pretty good attorney. Okay.
And for the ladies out there, Google him because he's not bad to look at either. I looked him up.
That's
I mean,
hilarious.
poor guys, anybody can, but yeah.
It is what it is. Yeah, whatever. So Troy Delaney and his attorney and their team filed a suit against the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, cause number 49 D as in David 04-2504-P as in Paul, L as in Lincoln -01742. And they filed this, and we've talked about the early stages of this suit back in April of last year, and the things going back and forth. And the Indiana Department of Homeland Security changed attorneys at least once, if not twice, which is just really kind of shocking, honestly. Like, when you see that happening,
state, it's shitty pay.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. But
attorneys stay there long term.
Yeah, I'm just saying, when you see that happening in cases, it's not a good sign for the people it's happening to. Really, it's a weird thing. So a little birdie, a couple of them actually, reached out to me today and said, hey, you need to look up some old Muncie firemen in my case. And I was like, okay, like how old? And they were like, well, what if I just give you the names? And I was like, okay. And they're like, Delaney. And I'm like, well, which one? Because there's kind of a couple of them, and they both kind of have some things in my case. And they said, well, the older one. And I was like, okay. And then they told me another one I'll get to here in a minute. But I want to pull this order up. This order was actually filed yesterday. So yesterday, this just ended hot off the presses. I have not heard anybody else talking about this. This is an order issued in this case, Troy Delaney versus the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and order. Okay. And so we're going to put this up on the screen here. If I can find, oh, here we are. If I can find out where we go, let me try to add this. Okay. So we need to delete this, and we're going to put this up here. Okay. Now I'm going to make this to where you guys can see this. And this is 9 pages, and I'm going to put this out on social media so people can look at this as soon as we're done. I'll put this whole 9 pages out on social media. I'm not going to read the whole thing, I don't think, but we are going to have to go through some of it so you guys will have an understanding of what's going on here. So this is findings of fact, conclusions of law, and order. The court having, thank you very much. The court, oh my God. The court having reviewed the certified agency record, the party's submission, the arguments of counsel, the applicable law, having conducted a hearing in this matter, hereby finds and concludes as follows. The background: petitioner, and the petitioner is Delaney. The respondent is the Homeland Security. Okay, the petitioner, Delaney, seeks review of the final order issued by the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, Board of Firefighting Personnel Standards and Education on March 13th, 2025. Final order reversed the non-final administrative decision of the administrative law judge, Carrie Ingram, dated September 24th, 2024, which found in favor of the petitioner following a full evidentiary hearing before the Office of Administrative Law Proceedings. So basically what happened is the administrative law judge found in favor of Delaney, and that board said, we're not having it. And they reversed the decision, and they said, we're stripping you of everything. And they punished him, and they punished him pretty harshly. And like a lot of people, again, I'm not saying you have to like Troy Delaney. Hate him if you want. This is not about the person. It's about, did the city of Muncie, meaning did the mayor, did two different fire chiefs, did the leadership of the fire department do the right thing here? And did people on the fire department do the right thing? Or did something else happen? That's the issue at hand. You don't have to like Dan. You don't have to like Troy. You can like Dan. You can like Troy. But we still need to know if the right thing happened here. And if it didn't, why? And we need to deal with it. So this judge was going to be looking at this to find out, if everything was okay. Petitioner, Captain Troy Delaney, was a 20-year veteran of the Muncie Fire Department, serves as captain in the 3rd Battalion. Petitioner has held multiple instructor and firefighter certifications issued by the Department of Homeland Security and the board. Petitioner has no prior disciplinary history and has consistently maintained good standing within fire department and state licensing authorities. And now I want to pause everybody here and say this. Everybody has been reaching out to me and saying, did you know that he did this? Do you know that he got fired here for doing this? Did you know this? And this is what I got to say. Yeah, I've heard it all. But very much like the deal with Landon Dean in Henry County, and it's not the same thing, I'm just bringing that up. I've heard a lot about this guy, but the one thing I can tell you is nobody ever brings me the receipts. If you've got some receipts out there that shows that this guy's done something, bring me the receipts and we'll rock and roll with it. But I can't just say that this guy, kills kittens and eats flowers out of gardens just because you guys are telling me that's what he's doing without proof and video or something of him killing kittens and eating flowers out of people's gardens. I got to have proof to be able to say it. Okay. That's just, I'm not just coming to his defense. I don't like the guy, really. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. But if he was done wrong, that's a problem. Okay. In his capacity as captain and mentor, petitioner routinely volunteered to assist firefighters in studying for certifications, exams, using publicly available materials and personal instruction. On March 10th, 2023, DHS received an unsigned anonymous complaint which alleged that several MFD firefighters had cheated on examination material. The complaint did not identify any source or provide firsthand evidence which linked petitioner to the alleged conduct. The anonymous submission contained text messages, screenshots, and handwritten notes. Now, keep in mind, when I'm reading this to you, this is not Christopher Bilbrey's assumptions saying these like, they didn't tie him to it in any way. This is a judge, okay? This is a court of law, which some people can say, well, it is what it is. This guy's just telling you the facts at hand, okay? He's just telling you what the facts at hand are. He's telling you he's looking at the documentation, and if the documentation doesn't tie him or provide firsthand evidence linking the petitioner, it doesn't do it. Okay? You can hate the guy. We can hate him, but it is what it is, okay? DHS, yeah.
As you talk about, she cites the fact that people made accusations but didn't have any firsthand. One of the people who lost their EMT cert for a while and had to retest that you could make a phone call to tonight, who Troy trained during that study. And she'll come on and tell you what really happened.
And so we could do that, but I'm sure you could speak for her. Do you want to explain who that is?
So one of his students was part of the scandal when this happened, where they came in and they took all of these EMT certifications away and said, hey, because of this, you guys have to retest. Now, they couldn't take their state, but the National Registry took their registry, so they could still be EMTs. It literally changed nothing.
Yeah.
Just that they couldn't go to another state. Do you know that every single one who tested and took that test passed it immediately again?
That's interesting. And they did a whole other different test. And so what you're saying here is essentially they retested these people with a different non-Troy cheated test, and they were able to pass it because apparently they just knew the material.
Yeah, and if you have, and I mean, you can call her. If you call Ryan,
what I'm asking you to do is instead of just telling these people something, tell them how you know this.
Oh, it's my daughter.
Okay, yeah, right.
I mean, so she ended up working as an EMT. And so, she was talking about this at the time and was explaining how in depth it was. It wasn't he was given answers. He had a big book that he made them go through and would quiz them, and they had to dedicate so many hours. I mean, it was like with anything, boot camp, then that's what they called it. He's not going to let anybody, if anybody knows Troy, he's not going to let anybody half-ass anything. He's definitely not going to cheat. He's going to make them know it more than anybody else knows anything.
When all of this came out, this is what I said that this is like. This is like when your police officers go to their state mandates and they've got to get certified in CPR again. Okay. And when you're getting certified in CPR or you're getting recertified, the class is a little bit different. When you're getting certified for the first time, it's important that you've got hands-on information, you've got the book stuff, you're watching the video, you're doing everything right. When you're doing recertification, or if you've been in the field for a while, it's a little bit different, and it's like everybody's trying to help each other out. People are saying like, I don't want people that don't know this stuff going out in the field. I don't want them coming to save me. I have said from day one, I don't care. Let's say he did cheat and they found him that he cheated or whatever. I still do not believe that takes away from anybody that took the test. I don't think it takes away, because the testing, the book stuff, is only one small percentage of it. The hands-on in the field is really what counts. And that's what's going to make or break you as a fireman, as a cop, as an EMT. And so when you're reading in the book, like, okay, if somebody's airway is blocked, you have to do A, B, and C. Reading it's one thing, but actually being there and seeing it done and doing it is quite another. And I don't care how many times you read it in the book. If you read it in the book, or if Troy whispers it in your ear, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to do it. You got to, there's a lot for field work there. So, I just was always weird about this. Always weird about this.
After you read this, remind me to tell you what was said in the courtroom that I heard the judge say that will put every bit of this to rest, where there's no way to debate it.
Okay. So, we're getting up to that, and I'll do this. So there's an evidentiary hearing that occurred on June 27th, 2024, at which multiple witnesses testified, including Department of Homeland Security staff, Muncie firefighters, and the petitioner himself. The administrative record admitted numerous pages of exhibits, including investigative reports, emails, and correspondence. Multiple fire department witnesses, including training officers, subordinates, testified that the petitioner's instructional sessions were legitimate, voluntarily, and only used practice materials. The judge in that case found petitioner credible and noted his consistent and forthright demeanor. The judge in that case found the testimony of the investigator Matthews and other DHS witnesses to be inconsistent and lacking cooperation. Dude, that's really big. The investigator from the board and other DHS witnesses were found to be inconsistent and lacking cooperation. The judge concluded that the DHS failed to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that the petitioner violated the code, and the judge in that case recommended reinstatement of all certifications held by the petitioner, noting that no statutory or regulatory basis existed for suspension or revocation. The board convened on March 13th, 2025, as the ultimate authority under Indiana code. Now, before we go there, what did you...
Okay, sorry.
What did you say?
I'm reading Jeff's comment, and ding, ding, ding. He gets it.
Why can a board overrule a judge? Well, the problem is because it was an administrative judge and not like an actual court judge, so they're a little bit different. But the question stands. So now, what did you hear before we go on to the board stuff from March 2025? What did you hear at the testimony? Because you were there.
So I only got to hear after I had to testify, right?
Because you were there to testify.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So you weren't there because you're like, yeah, go Troy. You were subpoenaed called. And you were called to testify.
So listening
and
to
really quickly, you weren't under any suspicion of anything. You have all of your certifications. You could go today and be an EMT. You've got a job in medical sales and blah, 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 whatever. But you have never been in trouble. You've never been disciplined for any of this. This was not something, you're not connected to this in any way.
No.
Other than knowing Troy because he worked for you, worked under you, worked with you, around you, and all of this, other than that baby that time, but yeah.
That class that my daughter was involved in, it was about 2 weeks in when I was no longer at the fire department, because that became an issue of Ryan continuing, where now this is rumor, but someone that was in that class was saying that they didn't know if they were going to let her come back to the class, and people in the cast were like, hey, that's shitty. She signed up for the class, she started, etc. So all of this kind of happened shortly after I was still getting phone calls, and they were talking about that obviously the people who turned him in, and why they did it. And I was getting kept up to date on it, but no, I had nothing to do with this. Now, what's funny is this class that it was reported, this has been what happened with him was ongoing for every EMT class. Nothing was different that I know of. I remember, and Ryan will tell you, Rob Mead would instruct people, go get Delaney trained. Burford, all of those people pushed for Delaney to work with people.
All the people that didn't like him, all the people that didn't care for him, even though they didn't like him and care for him, they knew in the world of training, he knew his shit and he could get you trained.
Correct.
And at the end of the day, whether he read it to you out of a book, he made you read it, read it, he whipped you, he made you stand in the corner, he cut you with 1,000 paper cuts, or he whispered the shit in your ear, whatever he did, at the end of your time with him, you were now someone that could be a paramedic, that could be an EMT. EMT. Sorry, it's all dumb. Those things are so dumb. It needs to be one word, level 1, level 2, level 3. It makes it so hard for regular people. Anyways,
here's where I knew. I mean, and this is where you knew that the judge got it. It clicked with her. You know, they keep talking about, well, he gave these notes and he did all of this. Okay.
Yeah.
People take notes while they're studying. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
For the people, your listeners who maybe don't really understand how things, it's not like high school when you're taking this test. It's not like high school where you go into a classroom and there's all of these chairs and people sit down and you can talk back and forth. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because you could cheat that way.
Sure.
Right? Because tell me if I'm wrong, but cheating is at the point that you are actually sitting down to take a test and no one's around you and you have to remember every bit of that information on your own.
Yeah.
Sit down and take that test. Does everyone agree?
Yeah.
You know where EMTs have to take their EMT test?
In Siberia. Where?
Ivy Tech. They have to go into those locked rooms
where
you go in, they give you a key. You have to put your cell phone. You have to put your purse, your belongings. You have to go into the room and take that test locked with video cameras watching you.
Okay.
So I don't even remember who it was explaining that to the judge. The judge says, wait a minute. You are at a college campus locked in a room with cameras on you and no one else in that room with you. And so how can you cheat if that's the case? And the person, whoever it was, said exactly. And it clicked with her. Like, how can you be guilty of cheating when literally it's you and only you in that room with no ability to take notes in, no earpieces, no anything? Tell me how you're cheating.
Right. Right. No, that I get it. And listen, here's the thing. Stumblefoot, I want to please write this out so I can understand it because I'm not getting it. You said there's one thing missed when one just learns answers to questions. That's how they knew the inside knowledge of how that question was explained. Do you understand what he's saying there? Can you explain it?
No, put that back up again. Can you
there's one thing missed when one just learns answers to questions, and that's how they knew the inside knowledge of how that question was explained. Can you try to explain what you're saying there to me better? Or I don't know if Kate. No. I'm just trying to understand it. Everybody here, Shane. I don't know if Kate understands. Just try to make me understand what you're saying because I don't want to skip over that, and I do want to answer that.
I think what he's trying to say it's one thing to just give somebody the answer to a question.
Sure.
It's another thing for them to give you think like a math test, quadratic equation.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
They're asking you this way, but this is what they want you to give as an answer.
Yes.
But understanding the process of how you get from the question to the answer. Yeah,
I can tell you. Yeah. I can tell you if you've never ever picked up a gun, I can tell you what you've got to do to be able to hit the target, holding it in your hand and being 25 yards away from the target, and being able to hit the target with putting, I'm trying to figure out where the camera's at, with putting the sights in the sight picture and do that. I can tell it to you, and I can make it to where you can regurgitate that all you want. But then picking up the gun and doing it is going to take the actual practice. So there's a difference of being able to just regurgitate shit back to people. You're basically guiding a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. There's got to be the thing to make it do. And my whole thing is anybody that dislikes this man and says, yeah, but he did this, or did this, and I heard he did this, and I heard he did this. The bottom line is, even people who haven't been in first response, because the first time I heard this, I was like, well, dude, half the police officers are in trouble for this, and the other half, they were the ones that doing it. Doctors do this, lawyers do this, and I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute, like, what? But I'm not a welder, but I have to think that people have went to school for welding before they get into the actual welding. They go in and they do book work. They got to be doing this shit in there too. This has to happen in literally every type of field, other than maybe if you're going to work at Walmart or McDonald's, that don't happen. But
this may be a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And Rachel would hopefully know the answer to this question.
Okay.
Is the EMT test like 100 multiple choice questions?
Okay, I'm so glad.
This is what. I was getting ready to bring that up.
On this, it's considered a SMART test. Does everyone know what that is?
No.
Okay, so when you go in, they'll ask you a question. Let's say on airway. Okay, and it's if they rank it 1 to 5 on difficulty, 5 being the worst, 1 being the easiest. Let's say it's a 2. And if you answer that correctly, then they'll give you a 3 of hard on the airway.
Oh, if you do with the SATs and I learned.
It drops back down. And it does that. So this test, it's not even an easy way to just have basic questions, because it's all composed to that person who's taking the test and how they answer each question.
It's like a choose your own adventure by the way you answer.
If they give you a 5 and you answer it, you won't have any more questions on airway. If they ask you one and you score a 1, you have to build back up and answer so many times correctly until it will move on. So
like one person could go in and if you aced everything, you could possibly go in and answer, and the numbers are wrong, so don't hit me. You could do 75 questions and pass. Or if you go in and you're like 1 tick over failing, it might take you 150 questions, right?
Yeah, and then it maxes out. Yeah, it maxes out at so many. So I will tell you, when that thing shuts off, and then it'll just shut off. Once you either pass so many where you know that you've passed it. Ryan just sent me a text and said, oh my God, I wish he would have let me explain this. I took it.
Well, tell her to call on or come in or whatever.
Well, Ryan, you know what to do.
Let me know if you want to come on, Ryan.
If you were going to cheat on this test.
It's impossible.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
you'd have to memorize 500
if you could cheat on the test,
because
you
it's a
could
pool
be
of different ones.
A genius.
Yeah, but they're going to have a pool of 500 questions.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or something. So to cheat, you would have to have eidetic memory.
Yes.
And be able to memorize 500 questions to walk in that room and have the information prior to the test, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So even if somebody came and said, listen, these are the questions I had on my test, and this is the way I answered them, just because they got them in that order doesn't mean I'm going to get them in that order. It doesn't mean that I'm going to get the same questions. I'm going to have to memorize the whole pool of 500.
And what the registry, got pissy about, and this is what my medic class did it. So we would go take our test and come back, and the instructor would be like, okay, you know, we know that there's, like with paramedic, there's part over pregnancy, there's airway, there's cardiac, you know, all of the things. So our teacher would say, okay, did you have a lot of questions on, let's say, pregnancy? And we would be like, no, I only had 2. Well, but I had a ton on cardiac, or I had a ton on airway. Do you remember any of what they were about? You know, was it like drugs? Was it medical? You know, what you were done, and kind of give that rundown. And so, yeah, this person's right, what they're saying. Are you reading that?
Yeah.
No, sorry. Your daughter, I'm gonna send you a link. I didn't know what she was doing.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
go on. Keep
Someone
going.
says the issue is after taking the test, you sign a contract, agree not to ever talk about the material you were just tested on. Training people with said questions, it's a breach of contract. Well, get on any app of National Registry, and they're all on there.
Yeah, I mean, if one of the tests is, if one of the questions is a regular heartbeat is between 60 and 82 beats a minute, you know, normal resting heartbeats between 60 and 80, that's just a question like that everybody in the world would probably know. So it's not, you know.
And this person right before this one, the one that said that they signed, you know, to go over. Well, here's the thing. The people taking the test are the ones who signed not to bring that back. Delaney didn't go in and take that test. Those EMT students took that test.
Yes.
So if anybody violated the law and the rules, it would have been the students who came back to give him the answer.
Yeah,
not
it would have been this person.
Yeah. So, you know, hey, Burford,
I'll go away.
No, you're fine.
Burford, what'd you do with the students who were the ones who came back and gave the answers? Okay, everybody look, Ryan got a perm.
Oh my God. We can see you. What's up? Hey, your perm looks good. We can hear you. We can see you. Can you not hear us, see us? Can you hear or see us? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can't hear anything.
Oh, we can hear you.
We can hear you. Hold on.
Yeah, I can't hear any of you.
I just text you.
Well, if she can't hear us, she won't hear you say that. Oh my God, I can hear her typing.
Yeah, me too.
Those nails.
Call 911. Can you get headphones? Damn it.
I'm telling her. Anyways, I'll text that.
All right, you text that to her. She's texting you.
I don't own headphones.
Oh.
Okay, stand by. Tell her I'm going to try to bring her in on the other way that she tried coming in. Tell her to hang up from that.
Okay, I told her. Let's see what her reaction is. Everybody just stare at her evilly. There we go.
The problem, there we go. What?
She finally hung up.
Okay. I'm gonna try to bring her on this way. This should work. I apologize about this, folks.
Yeah. Kate
Give me a
disappeared.
second. Okay, so keep going until we pull her up. So
yeah, no, what I was saying was that, you know, everybody kind of puts the deal on Troy, and it's not a popularity. That's what people realize. This isn't popularity. It's facts, right? The facts are the people that took the test would have been the ones to bring the questions back to him. So therefore, the state should have been as hard going after them to discipline them than they did Delaney for what they say he did.
Yes. Okay, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, we can hear you. You'll probably have to turn your radio down, caller.
Whatever's in the background,
I
your TV.
muted the TV.
Okay, what's going on?
What happened?
What happened with what?
Why couldn't I hear you?
Because
We're in the middle of the show, Ryan. We don't have time to small talk.
we're in the middle of a show. You didn't have headphones. I think that's the problem.
You guys don't have headphones?
I do.
Oh. Well,
So
Get outta here.
Ryan, explain kind of, I want you to let people know what the training from Delaney involved. That it wasn't just giving answers, like explain what was required. And I'm going to burn one while you do, because I know you'll talk for a while. Get off your jewel and talk to people. And we're not trying, for the comment, we're not trying to put a Band-Aid. We're stating the facts to educate what truly went on.
And here's the thing. Here's the bottom line. Because I started with the whole thing saying, like, look, I don't like the guy. I'm just telling you, wait, because there's more of the legal finding I'm going to read you here in a minute. This is just laying out some of the information. We're going to get there. So explain this class situation. You took the class from Troy Delaney. Did you cheat? Did he cheat? Did you cheat?
no.
Okay, so can you explain this a little bit? In
So
more than like
basically,
one. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, we went into our EMT class. We took the normal class like you would take. And then we were told by higher ups that if we needed help studying, that we would go see Troy Delaney because he was the best at teaching us how to, like, just boot camping us, studying with us. That's all it was. And so we would go into station, and all we did was he would sit down and open that book and go through the chapter that we were going through in class. And so it was basically like a small group of the class itself. So if we were working on chapter 8, he went through chapter 8.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of every textbook ever, there's those like 10 questions, like the overview questions, whatever. He would walk us through all of those questions, and then he would go through different, like each paragraph within the textbook. And he would basically say it in a more understanding fashion, because textbooks speak in whatever, like the academic language, and he would break it down for us in common wording.
Sure.
And we would do it that way. So that's all he did, was just walked us through a textbook and made it more understandable and relate it to actual life. And then he would expect you to know it. So then when you went in for the next class, the next time that we did a study group, he made us review. And his rules were, if you come in the following class and you didn't show any time of studying on your own, any effort of understanding any of this outside of this class, you're not allowed to come back to see me.
Because he's not going to waste his time with you if you're wasting
I'm not
his
going to
time.
do the work for you.
Yes,
his
yes,
biggest
yes.
phrase was, I'm not going to do the work for you. So if you
Yes.
can't go home and study on your own time, and you can't prove to me that you're learning this stuff, I'm not wasting my time. You can't be in here. Get out.
And listen, this is all of these things are a lot of the reasons why people don't like Troy, because he's very anal about this stuff. He's very OCD. It's kind of like a joke. People call him like Rain Man. I mean, he has weird, peculiar behaviors, and it's just his personality, and that's what some people make him think. It makes him a good paramedic or a good fireman or a good instructor, and other people don't like him because of this stuff. But it's like any class you take, if you're a lawyer or you're going to be a doctor, there's always that one person that has all of the best study guides and all of the best notes, and you go to those people. It's like a tutor. That's all this is. Do you know, and I think Rachel would probably know, she's coming back, did he get a bonus for getting trainees through?
No.
No,
He
there's
did
nothing
this
like that.
one time.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't technically know how any pay goes within Muncie Fire, so I can't actually speak on it at 100% accuracy, but he did all of this, and he always would tell us he does this because he genuinely wants everybody to be good at their jobs. He wants you to be good. He wants you to understand and not just know, like, he doesn't want you just to be able to recite a textbook. He wants you to genuinely be able to understand it, because no medical call is black and white, right? Like,
Sure.
You have to know how to handle it in the field. So he wanted you to truly understand what was going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea if, I mean, Rachel, I guess, can say whether or not they paid him, but
I think
the way
she
that
said
it was
no,
perceived
and
to me,
I
absolutely
didn't
not.
think. I've never heard that. I've never heard that. And
Well, and on top of a lot of it, most of his classes were us working with each other.
yeah,
It
right. The
was a study
students.
group that he led, but we spoke 90% of the time. He would
Right.
guide us, or if there was, I was in a class with I was in a study group with 3 other people, and there was one who was like, he was a genius. And so he understood it better than we did. So he did a lot of the stuff. He walked us through a lot of the things. He kind of led the study group, but we were all in the class. And to say that Troy cheated when the class is generally being led by another kid in the EMT class, adult, that also had never taken the National Registry. So how can they give us answers? How can they tell us what's on the test if they've also never taken it?
Right.
It just doesn't, there just wasn't an opportunity to cheat. And as they explained how the test works earlier, you can't cheat on that. Like, there's not a way to actually cheat that test.
And as you talk about, like you mentioned the comment, a lot of people not liking Troy. Do you know who doesn't get along with Troy? I mean, people like within the fire department who want to half-ass do things.
Yeah.
That's the people who have the issues. Like his people they liked, working on stations. There would be a new one and, they would work other shifts or do things. And then they would be like, oh, but I can sit around and do nothing. Or, oh, I don't have to fill my oxygen bottle today because I'm not going to get caught and wrote up for it. Whereas, if you came in on Troy's shift, you better be there. You better check every single thing. And I'll give you one example of stuff that like people, just to give an example, if it says that there's to be 20 IV catheters, Troy will count and make sure that there's 20.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, that's a little bit, that's just a difference. Where with me, when I worked a truck, I would, if I'm on a busy truck and I know that I'm going to have 15 calls, I'm probably going to put 30 for the day so that by the time the shift ends, I'm still pretty close to 20 and not like, understocked or overstocked.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. It's one of those, if that's how he is and that's his expectation and just do your job. I mean, it technically says 20. So if it's 20, do it. And people, they do not like following the rules. They do not like having to do that.
No.
Minimal.
That's the thing.
To do the job.
Even good public first responders, police officers, firemen, EMTs, doctors, people like that, even people are good, spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to half-ass their job and to get out of doing things. In the policing world, it's called RAT, report avoidance technique. There's a lot of things
that's great. I've never heard that.
Yeah, there's like cops that don't like to keep the drones in their cars charged. Yeah, right. Or they, I didn't fill my magazine today.
Charging station so that you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
And then they want to prove it, you bypass it and go through somebody else, and you do it.
Yeah. So, when real quick, because we got to get back to this thing, but I just want to ask you, so after, because you were in the class when all this shit hit the fan and they came in and they basically, you got robbed of the test that you took or whatever happened, right? What happened there? Explain that real quickly.
So we took the test and then the accusations were made and then we all were pulled by the National Registry, and they all had us do these virtual interviews where we had to just explain how we weren't cheating. And obviously that didn't go very far because they obviously didn't believe any of us. And then they said they were going to do their process and let us know. So then we were all issued, I was given an email. I was in a hospital with a patient. I was in a hospital and I was waiting on that patient to be discharged because I was doing transport. And I got an email saying that my national had been taken away. And so I was no longer a nationally certified EMT. And at the time I was freaking out because I was like, I have to leave this patient. I'm not certified. I can't. And I didn't understand that you didn't have to have both. And so they then told us after the fact, you guys can come back, retest. And if you pass, you can get your national registry back, but you'll only get it back if you retest. I was, as far as I know, I was the only person in the class that did not retest.
She can't see the comment.
I looked into it. And as long
Right,
as you're
you're missing
state
the comments.
certified EMT, you were not required to have your national registry.
Right.
And so you really got me in our EMT. I'm not taking it again. And so I continued to be an EMT. I never took my national registry. Everybody else in the class did. Everybody else passed. Nobody failed the second time. Nobody. And I talked to a lot of them after. Nobody failed. But I didn't take it. And everybody told me to take it. I was like,
and
no.
so you didn't.
No, I did not.
You didn't take it. You still have not taken it.
Bilbrey.
Huh?
Yeah.
How many people do you
I'm
think that are
still
watching
a
this?
certified EMT? I can still act in the state of Indiana as an EMT. I can continue to be an EMT after the fact. I can go jump on a truck right now.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what their point was.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you? Oh no. Can you hear your mother?
She can't hear me.
Okay, so she's all right. So say it. Tell me.
Ryan can't see the comments, which is hilarious.
Oh yeah, she can't. Yeah. So
And what's funny is, how many people do you think right now didn't hear a damn word she said?
Yeah,
they were
right.
only looking at her.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's beyond ridiculous. How long did you spend getting ready for this? She
Getting
like did
ready
her
for-
hair up. Do you have vampire fangs in?
No,
Do you have vampire fangs?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, it looked like you had vampire fangs. I was confused. But go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I also didn't get ready for this. I had
She
work
just
this
got out of
morning.
bed.
I had work
this
this
is what she
morning.
was
I drove
like.
back from Akron, Ohio today, and I've been curled up on my couch all evening. I did not get ready for this. Sorry, I just look this great.
Ryan, all the guys, there's guys in the comments talking about you.
This is switched over to OnlyFans.
Oh, ew, stop.
Ryan, can you hear me?
No, she can't. But you talk. I'll patch it between.
Tell her what the thing that all the guys are commenting on her, and it says, "Sorry,
Well,
folks, she's a lesbian." She will
Yeah.
die.
So okay. So you can't see any. I forgot you can't see any of the screen. So one person commented in here. A comment said. Let's see here really quickly before we get rid of you. I'm in love. Are you single? Biggie Smalls said. Rachel Chris hooked me up with her. She can come pick me up in the ambulance anytime. But I was afraid that people were going to just continue hitting on you. So I put up the comment that said, sorry, folks, she's a lesbian. So that's what it said underneath you for like and then Biggie Smalls said, I am too. So I forgot that you can't see anything. I wondered why she just wasn't saying anything about it. And I didn't know
it's just
she
me.
couldn't hear you.
It's a FaceTime at this point between me and you. That's all I can
Yeah,
see.
right. That's so weird. Oh, that's weird. And so you don't even look like I'm looking at you because I'm looking into the camera and your camera's here. That's weird. Okay. I even forgot about that. Well, we'll have to have her on sometime and we can just talk about whatever weirdness.
There's always weirdness with she.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Are you still a witch?
What?
Are you still a witch?
Stop. Don't do all that.
The answer is yes. All right. Well, is there anything else you what?
Tell her to show her midget
not a
cat.
witch.
Tell her to show
Oh,
her midget cat.
Before you leave, she wants to see your midget cat.
Cash. I'm not gonna go track her down. I don't
She
know where
can't
she's
find
at.
her. She's dead. Okay. Well, is there anything else that you have to add to this before we shit can you?
Wait. I do. I found the cat.
Okay, I figured.
It's a midget.
God. Sorry, folks. We'll get back to the more important shit here in a minute. Rachel, you don't look. Oh God. That kind of looks like a light monkey wrench.
Oh,
Hang on.
Oh
look
my
at its
God.
little short legs. It looks like a Dachshund.
She's tiny.
Dog, but a
Yeah,
cat.
it is. How old is it?
Almost a year.
It's
6 or 7 months.
under a year. Yeah. It's like 6 or 7 months is what I thought. So Rachel, can you not hear her? Or you can hear her, she just can't hear you.
I can hear Ryan, but Ryan
Yeah,
can't
okay.
hear me.
She can hear you. Yeah, that's great. Well, say whatever you want to say about it now because she can hear you. What are
Yeah,
you
she
doing with your hand?
Hey, tell her
I'm going to
nice.
start doing this show like this too.
She got a perm a couple
I
days
was
ago.
Yeah, right.
scratching my head.
Hey, nice perm, by the way.
Thank you.
All right. Well, are you going to continue watching and you can comment in the comments or whatever?
Yeah,
Shane
just
says
continue
that
to
cat
text.
is cute too. All right. You can do that.
Okay. I can
All
get
right,
off here though.
Yeah,
Tell
we'll
her-
have you back on some point.
Tell her
Okay.
not to be out past curfew.
Okay,
Hey,
bye.
don't be out past curfew, your mother said.
I know I have to go to bed. It's 11. I have work tomorrow.
Take care. Goodbye. Thank you
Bye.
for calling in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's insane. It's always bizarre with Rachel and her people. It's because she's always like, I want to show you a cat. I want to show you an 8-year-old. And I'm like, okay.
Hey, the 8-year-old is epic. She is.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Right.
She's much more interesting than Ryan or me.
Yeah. Now, listen, there are some things we will have to do, like a Bilbrey. We've always talked about this, a Bilbrey and Clark show episode with Ryan, because we won't get into it now. But there is some things with Ryan that we could tell you and show you that would blow your minds. We'll have to. That's a teaser. You would not. You couldn't believe it. It's just not even possible. It's not possible. So just tease that. We will do it sometime.
We'll do it
talked
soon.
about it. We'll do it soon. But okay, back to the fire department nonsense here. Everybody's like trying to figure out what's going on. So, okay. On the fire department deal, going back to this reading here, because this is what's important. This is very important here, folks. And I know it kind of got crazy there, but it's important. And the reason I felt it was important, and I knew it would be weird with Ryan, but because Ryan was in the class and Ryan was trying to do things right. And Ryan and I used to fight. Like these are my friends. I talk to these people, and Ryan and I used to fight about Delaney because I knew something wasn't right, but I just thought, okay, whatever. They wouldn't be possibly having all this stuff, but something just always seemed off. And I'm glad that I stuck with my guns on that, because moving forward here now, after the administrative law judge ruled for Troy, then this board basically said, nah, we're going to take all that away. We're going to totally switch everything over, and we're gonna do things differently here. Okay. And so basically
it's a board who none
What?
of them are attorneys.
Yeah.
The people that went against a judge's ruling,
Mm-hmm.
they're not attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand the law and what the law states. It
Yeah.
was all about, well, we're going to back, like with the professional, we're going to back our firemen brothers.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't like this guy, and this is the majority because
Yeah.
one of the guys that sits very involved in the union statewide,
Yeah.
he's an ex-Muncie fireman who retired and does it. He was friends with the people who made the complaint.
Sure.
People don't realize the inner networking of how truly twisted this is.
Yeah.
That
Well,
it's not just black and white.
so yeah, and that's absolutely so. And this is the thing. This is the thing. You got to be listening to what's happening here. And again, put Troy out of this. Say Fireman X, Fireman A, Fireman Bill, whatever you want to say. The board did not conduct a new evidentiary hearing or receive additional testimony. They just didn't do it. They said, we're just going to look at what she did and we're going to say it didn't happen. They didn't do any kind of evidentiary hearing. The board adopted select portions of the findings, but omitted those favoring the petitioner without explanation. Although the final order reduced the overall scope of discipline, it continued to impose the most severe sanctions available by permanently revoking the petitioner's Instructor 1, Instructor 2, and 3 certifications, by suspending 24 additional certifications for 3 years. The final order allows for a request for reinstatement after 2 years. However, petitioner is required to show remorse before that request would be considered. Okay, and how's he going to show remorse if he didn't do anything? You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to get me to say, oh, okay, I shouldn't have raped that person if I didn't rape that person. I'm not. That's nuts. Okay. The board cited no new facts or evidence to justify its reversal of the findings. The board's written order did not articulate any independent findings of fact or conclusions of law. The Department of Homeland Security appeared to accept Judge Ingram's findings, but by declining to pursue sanctions under those provisions, but appeared to not accept her findings related to this other situation, and it proceeded with discipline on that basis. The Department of Homeland Security continued to allege that the petitioner violated one of its findings, while states that the proctor may not discuss examination questions with a student taking the examination. The Department of Homeland Security argued that the phrase "taking the examination" should be interpreted expansively to include any time a student is preparing for an examination before.
How are they supposed to study?
Yeah, right. If you can't ever do that, I mean, that's nuts. They're really wanting to take it broadly. That's like saying you are guilty of an OWI if you are behind the wheel of a motor vehicle and the vehicle is in gear. You are driving after having a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or higher. But then they want us to expand that to say, well, if you drove at any time in the day when later you had a blood alcohol, then you're also guilty of OWI. That would be absolute horseshit. You can't expand these things. They are what they are. Okay, going on.
Let you take a driver's test, but not let you study or talk about it. While you're in the car, and you have to have a driver with you to practice driving. But they can't talk to you and tell you what you need to work on or what you need to fix.
Absolutely. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the conclusions of law. This court hearing this is a real life court. It has jurisdiction under Indiana Code to review final agency actions. Pursuant to Indiana Code, the court may grant relief if the agency, this court may grant relief if the agency's action is arbitrary, if it's capricious or contrary to the law, more than authority, procedurally defective, or unsupported in substantial evidence. A decision is arbitrary and capricious if it is made without any consideration of the facts and lacks any basis that may lead a reasonable person to make the same decision by the administrative agency. The board reversed, so the first board reversed the prior judge's reversed the prior judge without identifying any error in her factual findings. So they didn't say that judge did anything wrong without citing contrary evidence and without providing a reasoned explanation for departure from the credibility determinations. Such conduct Such conduct is arbitrary and capricious action under Indiana Code. Once I fucked it up, I couldn't get it. Prohibits the proctor from discussing examination questions with a student. Prohibits the proctor from discussing examination questions with a student taking the examination. The plain language applies to the conduct occurring while the student is actively taking the examination, not before, not after. Okay, so that's important. The law, this administrative law code here says it prohibits the proctor from discussing examination questions with a student taking the examination. So the only way Troy Delaney or anyone else, Fireman X, cheated is if they discussed something with the student during the exam. The plain language applies to conduct occurring while the student is actively taking the examination, not before or after. The Department of Homeland Security argued the rule applies at all times, including during general study or instructional periods, noting that the regulation contains such language, nor has nothing in the regulation contains such language, nor has the Department of Homeland Security amended or interpreted the rules as such through formal rulemaking, which they had the right to do. The Department of Homeland Security, as a drafter of the rules, could have expanded its scope to apply beyond the testing window, but they didn't do so. The agency cannot then rewrite the rule through enforcement. The initial judge correctly applied the plain language interpretation of the rule and found no violation because no witness testified that the petitioner discussed questions with any student who was actively taking an exam. The way they were wanting to make it means you basically couldn't have studied with anybody at any point. You just had to sit there, shut up. Like you could never go to your instructor at the department and get help on this because they're saying that's wrong, and that's insane. The board's reversal based on a broader meaning found not in text of the rule and not adopted through administrative procedure exceeded the permissible scope of the interpretation and constitutes legal error under Indiana Code. The administrative record contains no contempt or corroborated proof that competent or corroborated proof that the petitioner disclosed, distributed, or used secure examination materials, nor that he communicated with any student during the administration of the exam. The board's findings are therefore unsupported and substantiated by substantiated evidence. The final order must contain findings of fact and conclusions of the law sufficient to permanent judicial review. The board's order contains neither a legal analysis nor an articulation of its reasoning. Indiana Code required the final order to identify any differences between the final order and the non-final order issued by the administrative law judge. The final order provides no explanation for the differences between its sanctions and the administrative law judge's recommended sanctions. The absence of any explanation for the board's deviation from the judge finding and recommendation leaves only speculation as to the board's reasoning and renders its actions arbitrary and capricious. By failing to provide written findings and conclusions supporting its departure from the administrative law judge's recommended decision, the board acted without observance of the procedure required by law. The OALP decision was legally correct, supported by substantial evidence, and consistent with AOPA. Under Indiana Code, the court may reverse and remand with instructions when an agency action is unlawful or is unsupported by the record. Here, reversal and reinstatement are required. The court therefore concludes that the board's final order was arbitrary, capricious, unsupported by substantial evidence, and issued more than statutory authority and contrary to the law. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is the order. And this is what's so bad for the city of Muncie, the Muncie Fire Department, and Mayor Ridenour. Therefore, ordered a judge and decreed that petitioner Troy D. Delaney's petition for judicial review is granted. The final order of the state of the Indiana Department of Homeland Security Board of Firefighting Personnel Standards and Education dated March 13th, 2025 is reversed in part. The Indiana Department of Homeland Security Board of Firefighting Standards and Education are ordered to immediately reinstate all firefighting certifications previously held by the petitioner and to expunge any record of revocation or suspension from agency files. The Indiana Department of Homeland Security Board of Firefighting Personnel Standards and Education authority to remove the petitioner as a proctor is affirmed. And it is so ordered on the 17th day of March 2026. And I'm going to put this out on my social media, but just really quickly, because I know that was a lot of legal jargon and I tripped over some words, but to make it very clear, basically what's happened here is Delaney went to court and the administrative law judge ruled in his favor. And then he went to a bunch of good old boy firemen and EMS people.
For those who don't know, the administrative law judge is like a legal mediator.
It's like, yeah, it's like it's not like going to
an actual, like criminal or civil judge in a courtroom.
Yes.
Let's try to keep this out of the court.
Yes.
And and they're a judge.
Yes.
And there is a courtroom, etc.
Yes.
So there's that, but it's not legally.
It's not like legally binding because it's just it's like going before a mediator. If you go before a mediator and everybody's happy, then that's the end of the line and that stands. But if you go before a mediator and the parties can't agree, well, then you go elsewhere. And in this situation, the party said, we don't agree. And the good old boy firemen, the good old boy board that aren't attorneys, that are just firemen that are helping out their buds on the Muncie Fire Department,
have always walked all over body and have never had to follow the rules.
They basically then said, the first judge was wrong, and we are striking everything that she did, and we're making it worse. So now you have this ruling, and Troy could have accepted it, or Troy could appeal, and he appealed, and he filed this, and he went to court, and then an actual legal judge in the Marion County Superior 4 Court ruled in favor of Troy, saying that the board was wrong for various reasons and that Troy did not do what he's being accused of here. And he basically gave Troy back all of his certifications. The only thing he did was he stopped him from being a proctor of this thing, whatever. Okay, so at the end of the day, what does this mean? Here's what Stumblefoot says. Who gets in trouble now? Well, that's up to the public, because I'm going to tell you what happens. In my opinion, this comes back on Mayor Ridenour. This comes back on the chief of the fire chief and the deputy chief and the old fire chief. And it comes back, Meade, and it comes back on the city of Muncie. And who's going to pay the price? I'm going to tell you. The citizens of Muncie are going to, because this is going to end up being a lawsuit, and it's going to end up costing the city of Muncie drastically, because they didn't. If Troy was really doing something wrong, they should have ran an investigation. They should have went through the steps. They should have written him up. They should have done different things and went through the process to get rid of him through the Merit Commission the way that it's designed. What they shouldn't have done was sent out a witch hunt to anonymously put together a bunch of bullshit and submit it to the media and submit a bunch of anonymous nonsense to the mayor, and the mayor should have known better than to just say, oh yeah, okay. And they shouldn't have done what they did, because what they did here is ending up, it destroyed a person's life. Whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, that's up for you to decide. I'm not saying, hey, this happens, Troy's a good guy. I'm saying, hey, this happened. Once again, the city screwed something up big time. Big time. So the other Muncie fireman that I was told to look into was none other than Benjamin Renz. And that's another situation that's really bizarre. Ben Renz was a Muncie firefighter who has had some problems on the fire department himself. And basically the situation there was what happened was they didn't go through the right situation. And so I'm going to read to you what the order for Ben Renz was. Renz got in trouble and they let him go. And he said, wait a minute, they didn't do the right thing. So he took this to court. He took this to court in Delaware County Circuit Court 4. And on this was found so ordered on the 18th day of February 2026. Delaware County Circuit Court Judge John Fike, in Circuit Court 4, Judge John Fike said, be it remembered, on the 6th day of February 2026, the plaintiff appeared in person and by counsel, Austin Sparks, and the defendant appeared by counsel, Benjamin Freeman, who's running for judge right now. Keep this in mind. For oral arguments. On the said date, oral arguments were heard, but the court, not being fully, duly, and sufficiently advised in the premise, took the matter under advisement. And now, on this date, the court finds there is no credible evidence that the defendant conducted an investigation as required. The court further notes that not all pleadings were verified. Therefore, the court remands this matter back for a proper investigation and referred back to the merit board for the appropriate action. Well, that's being ordered in February 2026. This man's been fired for like 2 years at this point. They're not going to be able to go back and do an investigation. The city keeps playing fast and loose with the rules, and it's putting the fire department in a very bad spot. And it's putting
not just the fire department. Do you remember when this happened recently on the police department?
Oh yeah, it absolutely happened on the police department. The exact same thing. I'm just saying, yeah, it's the whole city of Muncie. It's a culture of behavior that's coming underneath Dan Ridenour, his fire chief, his police chief, and all of his department heads. And just to let you know, it's not always about lawsuits and things. I have another ruling here on my phone, and this ruling is a determination and notice of rights, and this was sent to Rachel Clark, who's on the screen here, by the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And this says the determination of charge. The EEOC issues the following determination. The EEOC will not proceed further with its investigation and makes no determination about whether further investigation would establish violations of the statute. This does not mean the claims have no merit. The determination does not certify that the respondent is in compliance with the statutes. The EEOC makes no findings as to the merits of any other issue that might be construed as having been raised by this charge. Notice of your right to sue. It's official notice from the EEOC of the dismissal of your charge and of your right to sue. If you choose to file a lawsuit against the respondents on this charge under federal law in federal court, your lawsuit must be filed within 90 days of your receipt of this notice. Receipt generally occurs on the date that you or your representative view this document. You should keep a record of the dates you received this notice. Your rights to sue based on this charge will be lost if you do not file a lawsuit in court within 90 days. The time limit for filing a lawsuit based on the claim under the state law may be different. So I want to be very clear. The EEOC only picks up like 1% of all cases that goes before it. But what they do is they'll make a couple of determinations. They make a determination that there's nothing there and that a person shouldn't sue, or they say, look, we're not picking it up, but you have the right to sue. And in cases like that, it's generally very damning. And if Rachel had sued,
it would have
been a situation where she would have won. And knowing the facts of the case and the evidence that she was dealing with and going through all of that, Rachel would have won. What they did to Rachel was not right. And what they did to Rachel, which was wildly different, but it's very similar to like what they did to Troy and what they're doing to other people. So Matthew says, okay, say all is forgiven in this incident. Can he still work for a municipality after beating someone up at a gas station or not having EMS certs? So
he's got EMS certs.
He has EMS certs. His EMS certs, the judge just issued all of this back.
Well, that was the fight. He has his EMT certs. The fire certs was what
the fire certs is what was given back. So he's always still been an EMT. And a fireman. I will say this. I am fully aware of the battery charge that you're referring to. As anybody else is, anyone we've ever talked on here is innocent until proven guilty. He will have to answer for that. I will tell you there are plenty of police officers and firemen that have misdemeanor charges. Basically, as long as you don't have a felony, you can still be a firefighter, EMT.
But I want to bring something up. The topic, like with this,
Mhm.
you know, this just shows how people who don't like when things don't go their way, you know, they went out with the Troy situation. Let's call it how it is. They didn't want him to be a battalion chief. Okay. They go report it to the chief of what he's doing. The chief at the time finds no merit in the accusations of Troy cheating. So those anonymous people then sent it to the National Registry. When they didn't get a quick enough response, they contacted the news also. So it's like, I don't get my way, I'm going to keep doing it. Then guess what? A couple of those people were found to be perjuring themselves on the stand.
Yeah. Wait, back up.
Wait. Let me finish because I forget what I'm going to say. So then it comes down, here we are. Not once has Troy had to go before a judge over this ruling, but four total times. 2 times the judges were involved. They sided with him 100%. But people still don't like the answer. Like this guy's in the comments saying, well, what about this and this? It's just, it's an exact example of, let's look at the facts. People are not going to stop. When people don't get their way, they will keep going and attacking and doing whatever until, you know, well, okay, we can't get him for this. But it's a mic drop right now for Delaney, because all of those lazy fucks who didn't want him as a battalion chief, and that's what this all is about. All of their bullying that they have done to everybody. Hey, it worked with me. They got me out. You know what I mean? They didn't like my way of doing things, so they got me out. Because heaven forbid they wanted to move stations because the tones kept them up at night with having the ambulances in their station, you know, shit like that. And, you know, the things that either way, mic drop right now, 2 judges who had both sides were able to argue all of those times. And Troy came out, and not only came out, but they are expunging everything. So what does that say about the shitty fire chief that they have, the shitty fire chief they had before? Oh yeah, technically the chief they have now isn't even qualified to be a chief, nor was the last one. You have to have, I believe, a captain's rank. Those guys never even made it past a captain rank. They were still sergeants or lieutenants. And once again, Dan, the mayor, was too stupid to know. He put him in as a chief, and then they had to backpedal, and they had to go to the merit commission and have them vote in good standing. So you've got an incompetent mayor, an incompetent chief, and an incompetent chief before that. And then they wonder why they're in all the legal trouble.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely true. And listen, I don't know, Majun, I appreciate your comment. I get where you're coming from. I get, I don't know if you're here from the beginning. I don't know if you were here or not, but I said, and I opened this up by saying, a lot of times Troy is his own worst enemy. I don't know what happened in that battery case. I don't know what happened out in York County. I know that it happened. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I know zero details. I haven't heard any details on that. Or
he'll go to court, and it'll be adjudicated. This thing. I'm not making excuses for Troy. Troy, look, he wins and he loses on his own doing, and whether I like it or not, he has been victorious in this. I am in a position where I say this. I say I have a bigger problem with how the police department, the fire department, the street department, all these departments that are under department heads that are appointed by a mayor who's leading the city will not communicate, will not be transparent, will not allow himself to be held accountable. I am having a problem with how he's doing things, how they are doing things, and that their nonsense continues to allow this kind of stupid shit to happen. Over on the county side, we have an EMT employee stealing money and all of this chaos going on. And everyone's like, well, that's just what happens in Delaware County. That's just what happens in Muncie. We've got all of this chaos going on at the city. And it's just what happens. It shouldn't be. We should expect better. The bare minimum is not enough. It's not good enough. We should expect a higher level of what's happening. And again, I'm all negative. Well, it's because there's nothing good happening. Show me something good. And I'll say, okay, good. That's great. That's wonderful. I praise Dan for a couple of the things that he said at the state of the community nonsense, but the most of it was just bullshit. And just like this, they have a level of incompetence up there, and they have created a culture of chaos. And that is what we're seeing. Hate Delaney if you want, but they still can't do him wrong just because a whole bunch of people don't like him. They still have to do it right.
And all of those people who are saying he should be out for breaking the rules, do they stand that firm for all of the people who made these accusations, literally ruined a man's life? They ruined a man's life. They devastated. Bilbrey, you were around after the bullshit that I went through with them. It was bad. And then they're caught perjuring themselves. So do they have the same standard that all of those people should also be terminated?
That's what I was going to say a minute ago.
You can't pick and
that
choose.
Judge,
stand that firm on it.
That judge in the first hearing, the administrative judge, ruled that several Muncie firefighters perjured themselves. Listen, when you're perjuring yourself, that means you're lying under oath. And when you're lying under oath, it's a really big deal if you're a police officer, right? Because that means you can't testify. Your word's trash. But should it be any different for a firefighter? Listen, firefighters and EMTs go in people's houses. They're dealing with people when they're their most vulnerable. They're cutting the shirts off of patients that they've got to put defibrillators on or do CPR to. They're in houses where people have got medicine and got jewelry. So if you've got a group of firefighters specifically all on one turn that's perjuring themselves, they're willing to lie under oath on the stand. What else are they willing to do? That is a crime of honesty, in my opinion.
That means that right there is a prime example that they have been allowed to lie, be deceitful, and do whatever it takes to get their way their entire careers, and no one has ever held them accountable. And look, guess what? They got up on the stand and lied, and they still haven't been held accountable. They're all still having their jobs. They got their people in as battalion chief. You know what I mean? Like everything worked out in their favor. Everything. And so what? Do you think that any of those people who reported Troy give a shit that he's been without pay and that the city, the taxpayers are going to have to pay that money back?
Yeah.
I mean, do they care? No, they don't care. They are self-serving sons of bitches. That's what they care about is themselves. And
well,
yeah.
Yeah, and what happened with the guy that took the dick pic and sent it to a female coworker who happened to be at home, and a family member got the dick pic? Like what happened to that guy? He got laid off for a little bit. Then they took his rank for him. Then they put his rank back to him.
But let me clarify something on that. They officially took his rank away, okay? Because he's a sergeant. But he actually has a specialty job that gets him captain's pay. So for the public, it looks like he was demoted, but his pay didn't take a hit, nothing take a hit. That right there is just the way that Burford manipulates things for his people that he likes. That they say, oh, well, he got demoted. I wonder if anybody on the Merit Commission that had anything to do with that even realizes, no, he still had his captain's pay because he does the CAD shit. So he's still making exactly the same amount of money as he was.
Sure. Absolutely.
No penalty there.
Absolutely crazy. Well, very good, Rachel. I appreciate you coming on and talking with us. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap up here?
No, I'm sorry that I coughed all the time.
No, that's all right.
And also, I do want to address, because you just kind of came out of nowhere and read that letter.
Mm-hmm.
How long have I had that letter?
Since you and the fire department separated.
It's
ways?
been over. Well, since the judge came out and stated in my favor.
Yeah, no, yeah, right. Well, yeah.
And that's something that I've not broadcast. I've not.
Yeah, you've not said anything about it.
That quietly, because I just want.
March 31st, 2024. So it's been no
2 years.
May 31st, 2024. It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years.
That's it.
Yeah.
We've talked about the fire department 100 times, right? And I've never brought that up. I've never anything, but that letter shows that I absolutely was backed by the EEOC to sue Muncie Fire.
Absolutely.
So it's just, and this is the reason why the timing is perfect, because they consistently fuck with people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, everybody's like, well, Troy's this, Troy's that. Okay, well, it's not just Troy. Okay, and it's not just me. I mean, how many times do we make excuses for Burford's incompetence, Dan Reinauer's incompetence? So, I mean, we get 50, 60 people that have all been victimized by these sons of bitches. Sorry, my language is horrible.
No, you're fine. It's great.
How many people have to go through this shit before the mayor is held accountable for being incompetent himself and hiring incompetent people? And also him not holding shit rolls downhill. He's not holding it's kind of like Sproles, right? He's cost the county how many millions of dollars in lawsuits?
Yeah.
Well, the fire department's getting ready to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And
so it's going to be some big losses too.
Yep, it is.
Real quick to end here, Stumblefoot said, and so basically this is the whole message. So what were they trying to gain by discrediting Troy in the first place? Here's the bottom line. Troy was up for a promotion, a big promotion. He was going to, what was Troy, a sergeant or he was a lieutenant? He was a lieutenant.
He was a captain.
Yeah, he was a captain. Troy was a captain. Troy was next in line to be a battalion chief, which means
he was number one. So they have to test, and they rank
in the merit. Yeah, they test. He was number one. He was next in line for the Merit Commission for this battalion chief position. And everybody and their brother on this one turn on a one shift, because you understand how the fire department works, right? So Monday, January 1st, one turn goes in and they work until you know, what time is the beginning of the shift? 7 a.m.
7.
7 a.m.
7
They go from 7 a.m. on January 1st to 7 a.m. on the 2nd. And then turn 2 goes in at 7 a.m. on the 2nd. And they work from 7 a.m. on the 2nd to 7 a.m. on the 3rd. And turn 3 goes in at 7 a.m. on the 3rd. And so Troy, I don't even know what they are anymore. Troy was on turn 3, and he was getting ready to become the battalion chief. And everybody on turn 2 didn't want that to happen. So they started this up. And so basically what they did was they screwed him out of a position that, because of his time, because of his testing for it, like, you know, we want people to get the job who deserve it. Whether we like Troy or not, by the testing, Troy deserved the job by what he did, by his time and everything put in. And they said, no, we're not okay with that. So they needed, first of all, they went and they tried to get him in trouble with the chief. And the chief said, I don't see anything here. It's no big deal. So then people started going to Dan Ridenauer, and nothing happened there. Then people turned it in to the National Registry, and they didn't get the answer back there they wanted fast enough. So then they went back to the chief and to this new guy that was coming in as chief, and they went to the media, and they were going out and doing anonymous, you know, they were behind cover of darkness. They were dressing up like big penises and going on air. And they were doing all of this because they wanted their buddy to be the battalion chief. Because if your buddy's the battalion chief, you're not going to have to be doing a whole bunch of crazy shit. But if Troy Delaney's the battalion chief, we're all screwed. And that's the long and short of it.
Correctly, it didn't just stop with Delaney. There was the battalion chief that was in, and I'm not exact on this. He had put in for the drop, which means retirement. Okay.
Retiring, yeah.
So they even, once things didn't pan out the way they wanted on that, one of them talked about retiring early or coming back to squirt, like the extremes that they will go to get their way.
Yeah.
By the time it was all said and done with, they got their way enough that the person that is in the battalion chief spot right now was number 5 on the list, Jason Chafin.
That's crazy. Yeah, Jason Chafin's the battalion chief. So that's it, folks. We'll be following this. I'll be interested to see when someone from the Star Press puts this out, when Channel 13 puts this out. I've not heard anybody else talking about this. In my opinion, this was an exclusive story. We broke it here, and then we told you the ins and the outs. And it goes all the way back to the Prairie Creek stuff. This is a perception issue. It's a perception issue, and they don't care. They're just going to keep doing it. We have to make them care. We have to make this a problem for them.
I have to say this. I just got a text message from someone at Muncie Fire.
Yeah.
That said, that's why I'm glad that you never put me on 2-turn. Literally. I mean, here we are years later, and somebody is saying, well, I'm just glad you never put me on 2-turn.
That's hilarious.
So, okay.
All righty. I will, very good. I appreciate it. What?
I read Stumblefoot's comment, and then I'm horrible at saying the intro and the exit, so that's all you. I'll just say here awkwardly.
Well, just don't go anywhere, because I got to tell you something on the flip side of this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you don't get to say my intro and intro. This is not the Bilbrey Clark Show. What
but I'm saying I struggled on our show. You think I'm going to do any better on this?
No, I don't think so. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for everything. Sorry, it was a little bit of discombobulated, but we still got the story out. You guys share this everywhere. Help spread the word. We will, what is today? Is today Wednesday? Yeah, Thursday. We will be back tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see what we're going to talk about. I don't know what's going to happen. You guys take care. God bless each and every one of you. We will see you tomorrow. Smash that like button, and peace. Have a good day. Goodbye.